Well, folks, the tabloids are going to be devastated by this one, because according to celebrity chef José Andrés, Harry and Meghan's secret life apparently involves cooking in the kitchen, raising their kids, and acting like a normal family. I know, shocking stuff. Somebody alert the front pages immediately. You know what I love about this story? It's the fact that it completely ruins the fantasy some people have built around Harry and Meghan. Because according to certain corners of the internet, these two are supposed to spend their days sitting on golden thrones, plotting world domination between organic smoothies. Then Jose Andres comes along and says, actually, they hang out in the kitchen. The kitchen, that's it. Not a secret lair, not a palace war room, a kitchen. And honestly, that's why this story hits people differently, because every family knows what happens in the kitchen. That's where the real conversations happen. That's where people steal snacks when nobody's looking. That's where parents try to cook while children ask 17,000 questions in 5 minutes. That's where life happens. And Jose Andres painted a picture that feels incredibly normal. Not royal, not glamorous, just normal. And let's be honest, that's probably what drives some critics crazy. For years, we've heard people trying to turn Harry and Meghan into characters instead of human beings. Everything has to be dramatic, everything has to be a scandal, everything has to be some giant conspiracy. Then one of their close friends comes out and basically says, they're a family. Imagine that, a family being a family. Groundbreaking stuff. What also stood out to me was the way Jose talked about their work with World Central Kitchen, because there's a big difference between showing up for a photo and actually showing up. A huge difference. Anybody can attach their name to a cause. That's easy. The hard part is investing time, energy, and genuine interest. And Jose Andres has worked with some of the biggest names on the planet. He doesn't need to hand out compliments like free samples at a supermarket. So when he says Harry and Meghan care and get involved, that carries weight. The friendship part is pretty cool too. Harry showing up to support Jose's cookbook launch says a lot. That's what real friendships look like. Not just calling someone when the cameras are around, actually showing up. And can we talk about Meghan for a second? Because Jose mentioning the way she engages with her kids around food is one of those tiny details that tells you more than 1,000 headlines ever could. Anybody who has spent time around children knows mealtime is not always the peaceful family moment you see in advertisements. Sometimes it's negotiations, sometimes it's chaos, sometimes it's a hostage situation involving broccoli. So hearing about Meghan being hands-on with her kids feels relatable in a way that glossy magazine stories rarely do. At the end of the day, that's probably why people enjoyed hearing Jose Andres talk about them. Not because he revealed some royal secret, he didn't. He reminded everyone of something much simpler. Behind all the headlines, all the noise, all the endless commentary, Harry and Meghan still sound like two people trying to build a home, raise their children, support their friends, and make a positive impact where they can. And honestly, that sounds a lot more interesting than the fictional versions of them some people keep trying to sell. You know what makes this whole thing hit differently? It's the fact that the person talking isn't some royal commentator sitting in a studio, zooming in on blurry photos and inventing storylines from a facial expression. This is Chef Jose Andres. The man has actually been there. He's not guessing, he's not reading anonymous sources, he's not playing royal detective with a wild imagination. He's been inside their home. He shared meals with them. He's seen them when the cameras weren't rolling and the headlines weren't screaming. And honestly, that matters. Because every week we're told who Harry and Meghan supposedly are by people who have never met them, never spoken to them, and probably couldn't find their house with Google Maps. Then along comes somebody who actually knows them. Funny how that works. What really stood out to me was how ordinary his description sounded. Not in a bad way, ordinary in the best possible way. A family hanging out in the kitchen. That's it. No secret plots, no dramatic music, no royal crisis scheduled at 3 p.m. Just people gathering around food. And if you've ever grown up in a family, you know the kitchen is where everything happens. That's where people talk. That's where people laugh. That's where somebody steals a snack before dinner and gets caught immediately. The kitchen is basically the headquarters of family life. So when Jose talks about Harry and Meghan spending time together there, it doesn't sound like some carefully crafted PR story. It sounds real, because real families do that. What also caught my attention was the way he spoke about Meghan with the children. Notice he wasn't describing some celebrity performance. He wasn't talking about red carpets. He wasn't talking about magazine covers. He was talking about food, kids, family moments, simple stuff, the kind of stuff most parents deal with every single day, trying to get kids interested in food, trying to get them to eat something other than chicken nuggets, trying to stop them from turning dinner into a hostage negotiation. Parents everywhere understand that struggle, so hearing someone describe Meghan in those moments makes her sound less like the character some tabloids have created and more like what she actually is, a mom. And honestly, that's the biggest thing here. The public gets bombarded with so much noise that people sometimes forget Harry and Meghan are human beings, not movie villains, not superheroes, not whatever cartoon version critics have invented this week. They're parents, they're raising kids, they're building a life, they're trying to create a home. And honestly, that sounds a lot more interesting than the fictional versions of them some people keep trying to sell. You know what's interesting about this friendship? It doesn't look like one of those celebrity friendships that magically appears whenever a camera crew shows up and disappears the second the flashbulbs stop popping. This one feels real, because when you look at Harry, Meghan, and José Andrés, the connection isn't built around fame, it isn't built around status, it isn't built around who can get the better magazine cover. It's built around showing up. And honestly, that's rare these days. Think about what Jose actually does through World Central Kitchen. The guy isn't sitting around waiting for disasters to end so he can issue a statement. He's sending teams into places where people have lost their homes, their neighborhoods, sometimes everything they own. And what do they provide? Food. Simple, but powerful, because anybody who's ever gone through a difficult time knows a hot meal isn't just a hot meal. Sometimes it's comfort, sometimes it's hope, sometimes it's the first sign that somebody out there actually cares. That's why I can understand why Harry and Meghan connect so strongly with that mission. They've never seemed interested in being the kind of people who just attend fancy charity dinners, smile for photos, and head home before dessert. They've always looked more interested in what happens behind the scenes. Who's doing the work? What's helping people? What's actually making a difference? Those are completely different questions. And that's probably why this friendship works so well. They're speaking the same language, not celebrity language, purpose language. Now here's the part that made me smile. People were talking about Harry showing up to support Jose's cookbook launch like it was some huge mystery. A mystery, really? That's called being a friend. If your buddy spends years working on something he's proud of, you show up. That's it. That's the whole story. You buy the book, you clap, you take pictures, you tell him congratulations. Most of us do this without a press release. Somebody launches a business, you show up. Somebody graduates, you show up. Somebody opens a restaurant, you show up hungry. That's Friendship 101. The difference is that when Harry does it, suddenly people act like they've uncovered an international secret operation. Relax, the man went to support his friend, case closed. What I like most is that the support seems to go both ways. Jose speaks highly of them, Harry supports Jose, Meghan supports Jose. Nobody looks like they're keeping score. Nobody looks like they're asking, what's in it for me? And that's how the strongest friendships work. Real friends aren't calculators. They're not constantly measuring who owes who. They just show up when it counts. That's it. Simple. And let's be honest, that's probably what regular people relate to most. Not the celebrity part, the loyalty part. Because everybody wants friends who celebrate your wins when things are good and stick around when things get messy. That's what people remember. That's what lasts. At the end of the day, the story here isn't really about cookbooks, royal titles, or even public appearances. It's about something a lot more basic, a group of people who seem to genuinely respect each other, a friendship built on action instead of headlines, and in a world where some relationships seem to last as long as a trending hashtag, seeing a friendship grounded in trust, shared goals, and mutual support is actually pretty refreshing. Plus, let's be real, if José Andrés is cooking, I'm showing up too. Friendship, humanitarian work, cookbook launch, whatever. Just point me toward the food and we're all good. Thank you all so much for watching. I've been your host, Miles, and if there's one thing we've learned today, it's that apparently the biggest royal scandal of all is apparently having friends, supporting them, and hanging out in the kitchen. Absolutely shocking stuff. Somebody alert the tabloids immediately. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the conversation below. And remember, while some people are busy turning cookbooks and dinner tables into breaking news, the rest of us will be over here enjoying good food, good friends, and a little common sense. Take care, stay awesome, and I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, this is Miles signing off before somebody writes a headline claiming I secretly conspired with a plate of paella. See you next time.